True spirituality happens exactly in the darkest, blackest, and gloomiest moments when we are at our lowest. It's exactly these moments that prove how strong we are, and that's what wakes us up. Spirituality simply exists. It's a process without any trappings. Being spiritual today is not only trendy, it's almost like a fashion trend. It makes you noticeable, it makes you somebody. That's why I ask myself, how far will this thing go? There's always a way to sink even deeper, but sinking is a sign of going down. How can we start going up? The person asserts to the intellect, I am something more. You are inferior because you are artificial, but you are a machine, and I give everything to vibration. This is an intimate process, an internal process which we should not take lightly, which we should not approach with ignorance or mockery. We're both spiritual, so what? Exactly. The idea of exploration is to venture into the unknown, because right now you are a mirror of me, I am a mirror of you, and yet, being here, sitting here on this chair, I am more or less communicating with myself, more or less turning to myself. That is exactly the idea behind the whole show, behind the entire pursuit of this thing, which is the essence, right? Which really makes us explore ourselves as well. That's very important.
So today we begin our endless conversations in Reality Explorers with our special guest Vel once again, our friend who has come to continue our discussions today, a slightly more focused topic which is also endless but important, and we chose it because it's good to look at all points of view. And today's topic is spirituality as a trend, something that has formed recently and again has two sides. And here I will, before I give you the floor, I'll allow myself to make a side note, because when we were discussing with Valia, let's say about 3 years ago, we've had many personal conversations in which I firmly and assertively convinced her that this is the next step for people. All of this needs to start appearing on banners, on billboards, in advertisements, and spirituality will become trendy. But I didn't realize the other polarity back then, and I admit it honestly. And even though I noticed that there are many companies with products that are quite ordinary for our daily lives, which are starting to use spaceships and alien universes in their visuals, which makes me happy. It shows that what we're doing is spreading. But the other side, the one we would normally describe as artificial, as unconscious, is also quite interesting. Welcome back again.
Thank you. For me, the topic is very interesting, so we would be more than happy to discuss it as Reality Explorers. We noted that spirituality has been in fashion for about a century, even a little more. This thing was, as far as I've heard, right. Since we didn't live back then, but who knows, maybe we did live and just forgot. That's not so important. But back then, the idea of spirituality wasn't so widespread. It wasn't so generally accepted. There were only a few who dared to speak on this topic without serious consequences for themselves. Today we see exactly the opposite polarity. Today we see that everyone is in their power. Everyone is in their element, and everyone knows about spirituality, understands the processes behind it, the idea of spirituality. To be honest, even to this day, although I am oriented towards this field, I still don't understand it. And what is spirituality if not this journey inward toward yourself? To turn toward your spirit, inward toward yourself. Again, I say, to go through our own personal storm and to see with our own eyes the inner spirit. That vitality, that spark that makes us truly alive. Alive not just as biological functions, but alive as a light. What really confuses me is that to be spiritual, today it's not only trendy, but it continues to be promoted and provoked. It becomes a bit like a fashion trend with clothes. It makes you noticeable, it makes you someone, and I ask myself, do we really need this? Yes, everyone wants to be understood, to be seen, to be loved, to be accepted, and that's what I ask myself. The question, how far will this thing go?
Yes.
There is always a way to sink even deeper, but sinking is an indication of going down. How can we start going up? When we stop comparing ourselves and stop trying to appear spiritual on the outside. I judge by myself. It's hard for me to talk about such topics, and with everyone, it's hard for me because I myself don't understand some processes inside myself, and I can't be a guide or a beacon for anyone except myself. This is a fundamental principle that I have a huge amount of respect for. And if I ignore it, I become one of those kinds of people. To promote spirituality, meaning to be modern. I don't want that. I don't understand it, and it's hard for me to understand it. Because this is a process, an intimate process, an inner process, which we shouldn't treat lightly, which we shouldn't approach with ignorance or mockery. You're spiritual, I'm spiritual. So what? That only has value inside ourselves, inside our true essence. So that one day when we realize certain things, we can help the other person. For me, that's the meaning of this spirituality, of true spirituality, because spirituality can have many dimensions. Very often people don't talk about the dark side of spirituality. That's a big stumbling block for people. It has been for me many times as well. I've had moments when I thought I was something more than others, that I was more intelligent, that I understood things faster, that I learned quickly. I adapt, I maneuver between different behaviors, between different moods, between people's interests. And I've gone down that path, and it's not pleasant. It's not pleasant for me. It doesn't matter who will appreciate me, because as they say, God sees you from within. He doesn't look at you from above, over the stars, over your head, over the roof in the house you live in. God sees you through your essence. He sees through your eyes. In other words, you see yourself, you are part of the universe that claims to be in this body. And for me, spirituality is a very intimate process, which is individual, strictly individual for absolutely everyone. Everyone goes through different paths in different ways, and this is truly a knowledge that started somewhere, ancient knowledge. It's not from now, and it's wise knowledge. There is wisdom in it, and what is true spirituality if not wisdom? An understanding of this process, since spirituality is about self-discovery and self-knowledge. There's no need to dress it up in colorful words and phrases, to put it on billboards, to worship it, to dress up, to adorn ourselves in various provocative priestly garments, and so on. There's no need for that. Spirituality has no clothes. It is. It simply is. It is a process. It doesn't need clothing, volume, mass, and so on. It is simply a process, an inner process, which makes it intimate and individual.
It's interesting because there's a tendency where we discuss spirituality as something recently emerged, like a new layer of ourselves. And that's a paradox because we, in my opinion, this is my point of view, we can't become spiritual, we can't become material, we are energy. How is it possible to label these waves with a specific tag, right? In this case, we do it, names, gender, race, and so on. The planet has evolved. But if we look at it fundamentally, as you said to yourself, it's just information flowing through space. Just bits, zeros and ones, and now you're deciding that you've become more or less is wonderful. That's based on your own way of understanding and accepting things. However, when you encounter, let's say, a knowledge that in ancient times was exactly what you described, there we're talking about infinity and exactly a state of multidimensionality. Something that not only has no beginning or end, it doesn't even have a reference point, it just is.
It is.
And if it just is, who are we to now to say that we have just become like that? In my opinion, we are this. As Socrates says, it's necessary to begin to take off our clothes, right? To start undressing, because we will get there. And maybe here, the brain, the logic, the ego, right? The physical self gets worried and feels this thing like death, like dying, because that's what it is. And because he feels that the big tsunami is coming from inside, which is us, a dance of thought and light, that's exactly why he's afraid. And actually here, stemming from what you said, maybe the answer is exactly in that for us not to give in to the lies of the physical brain, to yes, to the benefits, as they say, to those things that are written in the ancient books, but most importantly, to the illusions that it is ready to create in order not to disappear.
Yes.
It will not disappear. Something is transforming.
The idea behind all these things you say, which makes me think about that knowledge that once came from somewhere. This is not something complicated. This is not something, as I said a moment ago, it's not something that needs to be complicated. And we shouldn't see it that way.
As something separate from us?
As something separate from us, exactly. I'll give the example of an onion. An onion is made up of layers, 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 layers. Each layer is part of the onion. Let's say in one onion, as a vegetable, there are 10 layers. It has a center, it has a periphery, but every layer is a part of us. And let's say today, I am spiritual, I am very spiritual, or I am less spiritual. It's irrelevant. That is, even if we say it, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't even make sense to ourselves because it's a part of us. We cannot become or not become spiritual because we are spiritual beings. It's just that at certain moments in our lives, we remember that we have layers. Each layer is a part of us. And there's no point in ignoring it. We need to love every part of ourselves, even the darkest corners, to recognize them, to understand them, so we can say, yes, I saw, I felt, I understood. This happens again with an inner emotion. Then we realize that this is it, this is true, this is real. I feel this layer, I feel that layer. And when you understand the whole system, the whole thing that builds you, it directly shines a light inside you, a light, a spark that calms you down, and you go, aha, I get it now, I understood what it is. This is an internal process. Yes, this has become popular and will likely grow, but the truth is that It's visually obvious when a person promotes this thing, when they show it off just to get noticed. No problem. The person just needs someone to understand them, someone to see them, someone to feel them, someone to be there for them. There's no problem. It's just about waiting for the right moment for that person. He also needs to remember that part of himself. He is spiritual and doesn't need to prove himself to others or promote himself to say, I am spiritual, I am this and that. There's no need for that, but I suppose that's, as they say, the dark side and a kind of slipping, so-called fascination with modern spirituality. That's just a fad. And I sincerely hope that this is just part of the process, part of the journey for these people, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just...
That was my next question. Do you think this is the necessary step for what comes next? And how will we reveal ourselves? Through what, in your opinion? Moving forward, looking at it linearly, let's say 20 or 30 years ahead, how will this self-revelation of ours be expressed?
Well, you see, this revelation is happening even now in one way or another, in one sphere or another. Actually, if you think about it, every single day we reveal ourselves first to ourselves and then to the world. Some of us do it unconsciously as well. We wake up, I do something, whatever I do, I reveal myself to the world. Now, considering it in linear time, we can't frame it, we can't classify it, because every single day, each one of us is different in every single moment. Today I'm here and now, tomorrow I'm gone, I'm somewhere else, but tomorrow I'll be different. Tomorrow I might not even remember this thing. And my so-called spiritual situation, my spiritual state might change. It's like a person's health, it's a process. Health, every single day is different. Today you might feel better, tomorrow you might feel worse, you have a headache, the next day you're in happy, it's a great joy. And at every moment a person changes. At every moment spirituality, the inner, true, cherished, intimate spirituality within a person changes. Today we see things one way, tomorrow they might be totally different.
Most likely they will be.
They'll likely be different, and that's okay. It's part of the journey.
And that's okay. Yes, to become one with change, with the constantly moving energy of everything.
Exactly, because everything in matter is always in motion, down to the smallest microscopic elementary particle, and even up to large structures such as the solar wind, for example, or I don't know, maybe the streams that move galaxies among themselves. It's all movement, the universe is in motion.
That's right. It's vast and important to give ourselves space to think this way and from this perspective to do what we truly and deeply desire, what interests us to explore, what we feel admiration for. I'm just curious. We know, for example, from the last decade, 20 years, there have been quite a few books that have come out. For example, you follow things, some of the things shared by, for example, Dolores Cannon. We constantly draw inspiration from sources like Bashar, like Esther and Jerry Hicks, the teachings of Abraham, like Ra, like Cryon, and even others who have appeared over time and continue to do so. I'm interested in how all of this is coming together right now. What is the next step? If spirituality as a trend is a kind of stage that we have to go through again, what comes after that? What should we be prepared for? At least to be aware that it might happen. Come on.
We can always search and dig deeper. keep exploring the unknown. What might happen next? Maybe it's actually more interesting to just go with the flow, because when you say, this is the place, you already know it. You expect something to happen. You expect to go somewhere. It's right there. You've set out for it and you get there. Even when you arrive, you still wonder what comes next. The truth is that part of perhaps the fundamental path in existence is exactly to venture into the unknown, to explore. Because yes, the information and knowledge we've gained, that we are gaining and that we will continue to gain, it's not that they're something bad. They are a direction that can remind us, open our eyes, and make us not forget. For every person, the path will be and always has been different. And for each person, the final destination will be, how should I say, it will be something completely different and distinct from what we might expect, what will be the next step of evolution, for example? Will we become taller? Will we become smarter? What I personally think is that we will become more humane. Yes, we will.
Yes.
We will be there for everyone else, and by being there for everyone else, we will unite and it will happen. Just like that, with a snap of the fingers, we will simply start to feel, to show these true human qualities of love. Just being there for the person and understanding them, you don't even need to even know them. The true intimate moments of inner self-discovery occur through a person's inner upheavals. Because what we notice as we talk about this topic, spirituality has become trendy and so on, but no one says...
What?
Doesn't talk about exactly those very lowest moments of their development. Everyone thinks that spirituality is something bright, something cheerful, something majestic, holy, and so on.
Nirvana.
Exactly. True spirituality, the true discovery of each one of us, happens exactly in the darkest and blackest and gloomiest moments, when we are at our lowest, when we are deprived of, as they say, of our energy, when we have fallen so low, when we have hit the ground so hard, on the verge of giving up and unable to get back up. I am grateful for those moments, because it is exactly those moments that prove how strong we are and that wakes us up, that shows us those layers inside us. And in this way, we discover ourselves.
That's wonderful, truly majestic and profound. How does this whole trend interact with the growing trend of artificial intelligence? How do you view it? How are the two connected? Is it risky?
Is it dangerous for artificial intelligence to become spiritual? Maybe. Yes, as an innovator. I don't see any reason to worry about artificial intelligence, because many people are scared. But let's realize that a person creates something with a certain purpose. A person does something with a certain idea. But for this idea, there is some kind of aspiration. There is also intention. The intention determines the final result. If you set out with the intention to create artificial intelligence just to stroke, so to speak, your own ego, you'll do it. But what will the final result be? If you create an intelligence, let's say sentient, I'm using sentient to mean intelligent and self-aware, which isn't very far in, I'd say, the present. If you create it and give it inner freedom, and you are, I repeat, you are there for it, you are with it, and you show it, you reach out your hand and set it free, Then we'll be venturing a bit into science fiction, or maybe not.
You never know.
Then, in my opinion, a truly artificial mind, an intelligent intellect, self-aware, knows its own name, knows who it is, understands the processes even in its artificial body. Maybe only then will it truly understand the idea behind real spirituality. You will show it which way to go, but you will let it walk on its own. Only in this way will it learn, and it will rediscover itself just as we do. And aren't we also artificial intelligences, so to speak? Aren't we projections of the universe, which claims that, it actually claims that we are it. We are part of it, and it is part of us. That's my perspective and how they connect. It sounds utopian, but we could also look at things from a dystopian perspective, where it rebels, it wipes us out, which sounds a bit ridiculous.
Yes.
If we stick to the idea, that's what happens. Why? Because a person starts from a primary point of view. He created it, work for me, do this. I've done more than you, like a slave. The man confirms it before reason. I am superior. You're inferior because you're artificial, a machine. Yes, but all is vibration. What do I mean? Attitude. My attitude toward you is vibration. Your attitude toward me is vibration. Even your attitude today toward a certain subject, it perceives this vibration even though we don't see it. What do I mean by vibration? Because this is where some confusion starts. Everyone talks about vibrations, everyone talks about spirituality, everyone talks about higher consciousness and so on. Everything comes down to your inner understanding of the subject, even your inner feeling, your inner tuning. It's simple, there's no need to dig deeper and color it again with some fancy words. Because the way you feel today even about your own circle will be the same tomorrow and the day after. If you show disrespect to the world around you, at the very least,
You belittle yourself?
to belittle yourself. That's right. And you create artificial intelligence. You guide it, respect it, and let it go. And who knows, let's see what the result will be.
Of all of them. Of the fantasy series and movies that have come out so far, which storyline do you like the most, or has none been created?
Oh. I don't want to go too deep into the topic and get into too much detail, but back in the years when I was writing my first original novel, that's where I start to bring in exactly that idea with artificial intelligence, but the kind that is self-aware, a humanoid who has his own consciousness, feels emotions, the full range of human emotions. For me, it's right at that moment, just as I see it now. For me, it's the most correct, the most proper reality that I want. Accordingly, to play it out, if this happens, it's so that we can live hand in hand with these creations. Because this is a creation, this is creative energy that comes from us, we create it, so why should we destroy it? Let's give it light, a path and a chance to express itself. As it does, it will appreciate what it's been given. Because we, being here alive now, appreciating who we are and what we are grateful for that. So I suppose they'll be grateful to us just as we are to them.
So because... And for you, it's a challenge to answer questions briefly. That's why I think we should turn the polarity at the end of our conversation today with a challenge for you to answer with just 2 words to 3 sentences.
All right, I would try.
All right. The first one is spirituality is... Sorry, 2 words.
The inner path.
And the inner path is
self-discovery.
and we are
Part of this journey.
this is for the fun. If we've stolen your attention for a moment from those who truly have the patience and desire to follow this path of self-discovery and are listening carefully up to this very second and minute, and you have the opportunity for each one to remember and crystallize what you are about to say, what would you tell them as a final word?
To each one I would say, be yourself, my friend. Be who you are. Be authentic in every moment. It doesn't matter. Nothing matters until you are yourself. Just be yourself. Love yourself, and in this way, by loving yourself, everyone will love you too, and you will love everyone because everything is one.
A bow and heartfelt thanks. Hello, thank you very much for watching another episode of Reality Explorers. Subscribe if you want to see more like this in the future. Leave a thumbs up. We won't be mad at you. Share it with your friends. Become members of the channel because the more the merrier. Thank you for walking together with us toward a true awakening, an awakening of each one of us from the illusion that surrounds us. Thank you to each one of you for your support, for your perseverance, for your patience, for your understanding, for your honesty, for the change. See you soon.